Hello everyone, I am Prepper Princess. I am the author of Living on Almost Nothing. If you are interested in purchasing this book, I will go ahead and leave a link down in the description box below. We live in a world where the average person simply does not understand the concept of living without anything. Access to credit and debt is rampant, and as such, people cannot imagine saying no. This is a bit of a follow-up to the video that I made recently about the next Greatest Depression and how we may be heading into a recession, but this is not the next Great Depression. But I noticed in the comment section that many people believe that it is, and despite the social programs that have been put into place since the 1930s. So this begs the question, if the next Greatest Depression really is right around the corner, what are your plans to get through it? If it is the next Greatest Depression, on which will be the worst that we have ever seen, where the market will drop by 90% or more, there will be no dividend payments, no social security, no disability, no food stamps, EPT, food shortages, minimum wage, food pantries are going to be wiped out. You will have nothing in your bank account because FDIC insurance, according to many, is not real. If it is the next Greatest Depression, you can expect our paychecks to be slashed by 75% because minimum wage and safe working conditions will no longer exist. I thought I would go over my bills today and tell you what I would do. I already live on less than $800 a month, and I have been doing so for years. Even when I was living in the Bay Area of California, I was living just above $1,000 a month, which included sky-high property taxes and prices of anything. But right now, I live in luxury. But what if I couldn't? What if credit cards were no longer available and my bank account went down to zero? What if my income went down to like $500 per month and there was absolutely no government assistance? How would my bills change? Keep in mind there will be several people telling me to keep many things on my monthly bills. But when you cannot pay it because you do not have the money, how am I going to pay for it? Again, many people do not understand the concept in this day and age. You can't pay for it in cash, you cannot have it. So here are my monthly bills and how they would change. All right, everybody, so here are my bills as of today. Property taxes are $450 a year or $37.50 a month. Home insurance is the same, $37.50 a month. Medical insurance is $94 a month, and I'm insured through my work. It is auto-deducted from my paycheck, so I don't really consider it a bill, but I put it on there just in case, because a lot of people always ask. Donations, I pay $200 a month off the top. This is not nearly what I donate. I donate a whole lot more than that. I am not the type of person who makes videos about donating. I don't need people to know what I donate, but it's a lot more than $200. But this is the one I consider a bill that must be paid every single month. Electric is $68 on average per month. That's sometimes it's $120 a month, sometimes it's $35 a month. It really varies. Gas is around $14, sewer $30, garbage $15, water $19.50. Most of these I rounded up, but just to make them an even easy number. Cell phone, I have Mint Mobile, which I always suggest getting Mint Mobile. It's $15 a month plus tax. You pay a year at a time, and I've never had a drop call, so I'll leave a link for the description in that below. Internet is $37.99 a month. I have Frontier, and I did have to ask for a non-advertised slower speed. Still able to stream very easily, do my internet work, play on my phone, whatever I need to do. Never had a problem. Entertainment, I put in $50. I don't really spend money on going out on a regular basis. I just put $50 down because it adds up to like $600 a year, and maybe I'll spend that on a trip to visit my family a couple times, but that's about it. Car insurance, I have 2 cars, and it's $50 a month for both cars. People ask me why I have 2 cars, and there's several reasons for that. Not just because I want 2 cars, but I have a lot of reasons for it. That I don't want to get into, but I have my car insurance through like a family car, multi-car discount thing. So Car insurance without my second car is it's less than $5 less per month. So my car really only costs me about $5 a month more to have for an extra car. Gas, I spend about $50 a month. I commute really close to work and I ride my electric bike most of the time. So it's very little, very little. Registration in Arizona, you can do it in 5 years, and I've got both cars registered for 5 years. It's $40 a year for both cars, or $333 a month for both cars. Food, I spend $100 a month. I round it up. I spend less than that. Total is $791.83. So let's go ahead and go down to what I would get rid of, and these are all choices. These are all choices of what people pay on a monthly basis now, and people now consider necessities are really luxuries. For instance, electricity is a luxury. Water is a necessity, but running water is a luxury, things like that. So during a depression, I would have to pay my property taxes so I don't lose my house, so that would still be paid. I simply would not pay my medical. I mean, again, we're assuming I have no job, I've lost all of my money, and most of my income. So medical, I would pay $0. The hospital has to treat me anyway. And then if I'm given a really huge bill, I will simply declare bankruptcy and still be able to keep the nothing that I have. I'll be able to keep my house in a bankruptcy court. So I would have to be treated anyway. So, and if I have nothing, I have nothing to lose. So what's the big deal? Home insurance, I would simply not pay it. I would run the risk of burning my house down, but I do have fire extinguishers, and I live in an area where there's not exactly a lot of wood to burn. So it wouldn't be a huge risk, or a risk of living in a fire-prone or earthquake-prone or tornado-prone or flood-prone state. So I'd be taking a slight risk, but not a huge one, but I wouldn't pay it. Donations would go down to $0. I would turn off the electricity, simply call the electric company, say I don't want it anymore, and I would work off of my solar. I've got 500 watts permanently set up that I use on a daily basis. And in fact, right now, the computer and living room is being powered by my solar. And I would simply set up a couple other units to use for air conditioning in the refrigerator and make sure everything was full at all times. And it would be a hassle. It would absolutely be a hassle because it's not plugged in directly into the house. I would have to use a lot of extension cords, and it would be a pain in the rear end. But I would do it, and I'd be happy and gracious, great gratitude, have a lot of gratitude for having electricity at all. Gas would be turned off. I would use my solar oven and my propane cook stove, and then once I run out of propane, I would simply use the solar units and use my double burner, plug-in burner, which I don't really like using because it takes so long to heat up and it takes a lot of juice, but do what you got to do. Sewer and garbage, I am required to pay by the county that I live in. Even if I have a lot of land, like just a lot with no house on it, I still have to pay for sewer and garbage. So if you have to pay for it, you might as well use it, right? So I would keep those instated. Water would be the last thing to go. If I got really, really desperate, I'd turn off the water and use my electric bicycle and go to the river. I live right on the Colorado River, and I would go to the river and pull buckets of water if I had to, and just use, be very conservative and just use 10 gallons a day or something like that. And it would be a huge inconvenience, but if I didn't have the money, I wouldn't do it. But this would go if I had to have it go. Cell phone, I would no longer have it. It's still good for another year, so I'd be able to communicate with my whole family, let them know that the cell phone is going to be turned off. But I still have internet, so I can do Zoom calls. I can email them. So the form of communication, I would still have a form of communication, but in a different manner. So I'd have to FaceTime them or something like that, but internet would be the last thing to go. If I absolutely had to, I could get rid of the internet and FaceTime them at the library, which would be incredibly strange because I'd probably have to do it outside in the parking lot sitting on a bench because the parking spaces don't quite reach the Wi-Fi in the library, but you can sit on a bench in front of the door, and I'd be having like a private conversation with my family in front of the door. Entertainment, $0. Not going to spend a penny. not going on any trips unless I walk there or ride a bicycle, and it's just not going to happen. Car insurance, nope, I'd stop paying it. So I pay my car insurance a year in advance, so I'd still have a year. And I simply would not pay it. Car registration, my cars are registered for 5 years, so once that runs out, I simply would not pay it. And I would take my gas down to $10 a month. I mean, think about it. $5 a gallon. A gallon gets me 35 miles. So I'd be able to drive 70 miles per month, and I would have to walk and ride my electric bike to the grocery stores, and that's just what I'd have to do. And I'm sure that people are going to get in the comments, you would drive a car without car insurance? Yes, I would. It's not because it's illegal, it's more of a moral standard. But yes, I would drive without car insurance. I would take the risk. If I got caught and the police pulled me over and gave me a ticket, I would go into court and I would request to do community service to pay off the ticket because I didn't have the money, and that's simply the way it is. Food would go from $100 a month down to $50. I would be doing a lot more fishing and a lot more foraging. I do forage now, but I would be able to forage for my own coffee, milk, flour, green beans, and peas, and fruit, jams and jellies and stuff like that. So I'd at least be able to have bread, jam, jelly, and coffee. So at least one meal a day would be taken care of. The fishing would more than likely take care of the rest, but then I would have to add an additional bill of a fishing license and bait and tackle and stuff like that. So I'm not really sure if it would save me that much money. If food pantries or soup kitchens still existed or still exist, yes, I would go to those. If I could get EBT cards, I would do that. But otherwise, it's pretty much rice, beans, and, an apple a day if I'm lucky, or a half an apple a day. Maybe some carrots. It's going to be a lot of soup, a lot of rice, a lot of beans, and not a lot of variety. And I think it's funny how people say, I would never eat the same meal 3 days in a row. That to me is, you need to visit a third world country. You really do. That's just affluenza at its absolute worst, in my opinion. You really, really need to understand that you are not the center of the world. And I am baffled by people who are like, I won't eat 2 meals in a row. I don't eat leftovers. Like, I don't know. Mentally, I can't understand you. But the total comes out to $200.50. That's pretty much the lowest I could go, unless I took out water, which I could do, and I took out internet, which I technically could do. So that would save me another $50 a month. And I could take out car gas, another $60. So I could technically bring it down to about $140 or $150 if it were an absolute dire situation. And people say I live too frugally. To me, I live in absolute luxury because I have all of these things. And not everyone in the world can say that they have half of these things. Do what you can with what you've got. Prepper Princess out.
Where you going? What you doing? Are you being silly? You being a silly boy? It's 5 a.m. and it's 90 degrees here in the desert. So the water is a nice 68 degrees, maybe 70. So I have to walk him at 5 a.m. and I have to walk him in the water so he doesn't heat. Because of his breed, he's boxer bulldog. And because he's of that bulldog in him, he's really sensitive to heat. Get your butt over here. And he actually shouldn't be in anything above 80 degrees. So this is a way to be, I can't just not walk him for like 3 months straight when it's this hot. So this is the medium, is that I have to walk in water to keep him cool while we walk. Oh, so he can still get his walks. And he won't overheat. Hey, you cannot steal those ducks. I know you want to.